There are only two things in Pokemon Go that is keeping me playing the game. And if Niantic wants to maintain the longevity of Pokemon Go, they need to add more mechanics and new features that are all around these two things. I'm going to be talking about all of this in today's video. Let's get right into it. Alright, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go video. Alright, since the year 2023 is coming to an end, the theme of the next couple of videos is going to be more of a retrospective. I'm going to be looking at the previous year and talking about what did work and what did not work. And today's video is going to be all about what kept me going in 2023 in spite of all of the mishaps and a lot of the bad decisions that Niantic made over these months. So what are the two things that keeps me in Pokemon Go? What's causing me to stay engaged? Well, it's actually two things that I'm sure a lot of people actually care about. First, it's hundos and shundos, and PvP. Let's talk about the first thing. So, shundos and hundos, it's pretty straightforward, right? These are the ultimate things you can get in Pokemon Go. Regardless if it's relevant or not, it's always a great feeling to pick up a shundo or a really high IV shiny. And not a lot of players will be able to get them. It's incredibly difficult to get yourself a 100% perfect IV shiny, but if you do manage to get one, it's very satisfying, and it's basically the penultimate collector's item in your collection. There are a couple of ways that I've been able to get shundos in my collection. First and foremost, there is of course lucky trades. I think it's been my primary source for picking up high IV shinies. In particular, I always ask for shiny Pokemon regardless of what it could be, and I try to trade for Pokemon of equal value in order to get more shundos. Ever since it was introduced, I've pretty much been keeping up with my friends list when it comes to best friends. Hitting lucky friends is not necessarily an infrequent occurrence for me. Like, I try to keep up with all my best friends as much as I can so that I could trigger lucky trades as often as I can. But of course, Pokemon Go has not been very friendly towards lucky trades in the longest time. One of the things that players have been asking for is long-distance lucky trades. I think this is something that Niantic should have implemented years ago, but they have continuously doubled down on the requirement that you have to be in the vicinity of your trade partner. And I can understand that they want to promote people to go out and play the game outdoors, and when it comes to trading, it makes sense that you should be right next to the person that you're trading with. And on occasion, they did give us long distance trades, but it's typically a bonus for a particular event. And they haven't really brought it back in a very long time. In fact, I don't think it ever came back in the year 2023. So this is something that I would like to see in the future. More mechanics and more features that supports players doing long distance lucky trades. At the very least, we can look forward to wonder trades coming to Pokemon Go sometime in the future, and I do like the idea of them doing a global marketplace for trading Pokemon. But yeah, at the very least, I feel like Niantic should implement long distance lucky trades. It's not like lucky trades are something you can trigger as much as you want, and it is something that should feel rewarding. And as of right now, just having a whole bunch of lucky friends in your friends list just sitting there because you can't access them, I think that is just poor design in my opinion. Now, the other way that I've been able to obtain shundos is of course getting 100% IV callouts during community days. Some people will find this a bit questionable, but anytime people come across 100% IV Pokemon in their local areas, sometimes they will call those out to their friends, and that is how I was able to get a whole bunch of shundos. I play in one of the most active communities in the Chicagoland area, so there's naturally a lot of people who are out and about during community days, and most of the 100% IVs spawn within a general area. So I really do think that if Niantic were to utilize Campfire for similar mechanics, I think it would be a really cool thing. And speaking of which, I think there's a lot more they could do with Campfire integration. As of right now, it's kind of like a niche product that not a lot of players actually use. And I feel like it should be a staple core component of Pokemon Go. Like, the fact that they're trying to push so hard for community-based play, but they're not doing enough with Campfire, is kind of an oxymoron in my opinion. They have something that's actually a really useful tool for Pokemon Go players to connect with other players, and Niantic hasn't really been supporting it, and I think that's something that needs to change in the next coming year. Like the way I envision it, if I find a 100% IV Pokemon, let's say under a lure or through just wild catches, and I want to share that info to everyone around me. Well, it would be really nice if I could have some sort of one-button prompt that will immediately send something over to Campfire. So it's kind of like a flare like you see right now. I think sharing information with other players has always been a good part of the community-based aspects of Pokemon Go. Like if you come across a rare Pokemon or even a 100% IV Pokemon, sharing it with other Pokemon Go players around you should be seamless, mainly because that is how you get a lot of people out to certain locations. This is kind of how Pokemon Go was way back in the day during launch. People would call out 100% IVs or super rare Pokemon like Dratini, and you would see a mad rush of a bunch of people in that area going towards that location. You remember all of the videos of people swarming and moving as an army to certain Pokemon. Like, I think that's something that could come back in Pokemon Go, as long as Niantic does add a lot of features that supports it. So yeah, shundos and hundos are pretty much what keeps me motivated in Pokemon Go. It's all about collecting as many hundos and shundos as I can. Really, I've reached a point where I've stopped caring about completing my Pokedex or collecting as many shinies as I can. It's all about collecting high IVs for me. But of course, there is another aspect of Pokemon Go that has kept me motivated, and that is PvP. This is an area of Pokemon Go that I've neglected for a very long time, but for some reason in 2023, I made a mad push to get better in PvP. And honestly, I've been really enjoying it. Like, PvP is a very fun aspect of Pokemon Go, and I think it's incredibly underrated. But of course, PvP has not necessarily had a lot of love from Niantic in the longest time. It's still a buggy mess, and there was a lot of cases where I would lose matches, mainly because of server lag or different issues. And I think this is something that needs to be addressed in 2024. Pokemon Go's PvP is essentially one of the best forms of endgame content in Pokemon Go. And if you want this game's longevity to be intact, then you need to do a lot more with PvP. I think it's great that they're constantly shifting the meta every season. Like, that is something that I personally would have wanted for PvP. It's going to be boring really quick if you just use the same team every single season. So I do like the fact that they're making certain Pokemon relevant, they're making other Pokemon not relevant anymore, and I think spicing up the gameplay constantly like that is what's going to keep it relevant for a lot of players. I would like to see them continue doing that, because last season it was all about breaking Swipe Steelix as well as Medicham, and this season it's all about Skarmory, and I think that's really interesting. Pokemon like Medicham and Stunfisk were meta for the longest time, but it's been so long since we've seen Stunfisk be in the top 10, and of course Medicham is slowly starting to fall off. I think that is how you do PvP. At some seasons, you have certain Pokemon be the dominant Pokemon, but in other seasons, that Pokemon will completely fall off, and other Pokemon will take its place. That is very healthy competitive gameplay, and I would like to see them continue doing that. But yeah, PvP is a buggy mess, and I do think it requires a lot of polish in order to be taken seriously. There's a lot of players out there who I'm sure would love to engage in PvP, considering the rewards are really good and it's actually very engaging, but because of a lot of the technical issues, they just simply cannot play it, or they just simply do not enjoy it. And on top of that, the barrier of entry of PvP is just abhorrent, and I think this is something that Niantic could easily address in a lot of various different ways. I feel like IVs should not matter in PvP. I know this is a controversial take and a lot of people are against it, but I do think that when it comes to Pokemon Go's PvP system, IVs is one of the reasons why a lot of players can't get into PvP. Like, if I have a rank 1 Medicham and I'm going up against, let's say, like a rank 200 Medicham, it's going to be an easy mirror match for me. And I do think that because of stuff like that, players just do not feel like they are capable of enjoying PvP. So yeah, these are just some bits of feedback based on how I've been playing Pokemon Go in the year 2023. I think in 2024, there's a lot of nice things that Niantic could do to support these two aspects of Pokemon Go. Like, I would like them to make it a lot easier for you to obtain hundos and shundos. I'm not necessarily saying that everyone is entitled to getting hundos and shundos, but adding more mechanics and features to support that would make the game a lot more engaging, in my opinion. And then on top of that, PvP needs a lot more polish. I really hope that in 2024 they put a major emphasis on PvP, mainly because I do think it's one aspect of Pokemon Go that needs a lot of love and care in order to be something that is relevant. But in any case, yeah, this is just all my own personal thoughts and opinions. I would love to know your thoughts down below. What has kept you motivated to playing Pokemon Go? Are you someone who is about to quit Pokemon Go because Niantic has neglected your needs for the longest time? Definitely share those thoughts and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. If you ended up enjoying it and found it to be informative and insightful, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to all my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then make sure you go and check out the links in the description below. For all my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon Go, like with remote raids or the friendship system, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. Also, if you want to support my channel without spending any money, you could always do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula, and I'm on the following platforms. Alright, and that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.